And president of America First Legal, Stephen Miller, back with us. Stephen, great to see you. A lot of issues to discuss with you this morning. I want to get to the border. It's all connected to this spending bill. Your thoughts on averting the government shutdown and Kevin McCarthy's leadership here?
Well, I, for one, am not celebrating the fact that we have extended government funding without making any change at all in the direction of this corrupt government. I understand how we got to this point, but the tragedy is this. We have watched for the last 2 or 3 days as everybody has been in a state of absolute panic, upheaval, outrage at the mere possibility that there could be a temporary lapse in government funding as it happened dozens of times before. I have not seen the same level of outrage or panic or upheaval or emotion over the fact that we've had an invasion on our border for 3 straight years. Washington is up in arms over the prospect of a slight disturbance in their lives and their schedules, but the destruction of our country, except for but a handful of members, barely elicits any response at all. We need to use this funding process to stop the mass releases. And that also means we have to get Senate Republicans engaged. Maria, there's 49 Republicans. It takes 40 to change the direction of that institution. We need 40 Republicans to get behind the position that we will not approve any DHS funding long-term that doesn't stop the mass releases. And then you go about breaking the spirit of Joe Manchin and Jon Tester and Tim Kaine and all of the other left-wing Democrats, and you say either you're with us or you're for the invasion. But until we start doing that, Maria, we're not a serious country, and we are not even remotely at the beginning of how bad this nightmare is going to get.
Well, they tried to do that. They were pushing a continuing resolution. The House Republicans were pushing a resolution that included language that said, we will not fund anything, not a dime more, until we actually have a change in policy at the border. And it failed.
Yeah, so first of all, let me be clear. I supported the effort to do the 45-day stopgap with the border security measures included, and then during that 45-day period to then pass the individual appropriations bills, including a DOJ bill that fully defangs, disables, and defunds weaponized government. That didn't happen. Here's where we are now. I'm just talking now to my friends all throughout the House conference, people on the right, left, middle. You need to get on the same page. You need to see the greater good here. You need to understand that if you don't find a way, somehow, some way, to pass 218 spending bills with 218 votes that disable this corrupt government so you can meet and beat Chuck Schumer in a fight, then we will have failed. I don't expect to win every battle, Maria. I don't expect to prevail in every contest. But we need to show that we can force the Senate to consider the policies that will stop the invasion, that will stop weaponized government, that will stop the assault on our liberties and our freedoms. And if that means the government shuts once or twice or 3 times, then that is the smallest price against the loss of our country, against the loss of this republic. And it will force the whole American people to pay attention to the travesty that is unfolding every single day in this country.
Well, it's incredible to me that the Senate is not more outraged by this. Now you've got Matt Gaetz putting forward, he says he will, this week, a motion to vacate the Speaker's chair. How does that play out in your view?
I think at this point in time, it's very clear that Kevin is not going to be going anywhere. He has the support of 218 members. And I understand, and I need to help everybody rise above. I understand all the emotions that are playing out right now. But for the love of God, we are losing this country, and we are losing it fast. Republicans need to unify around the twin mission of stopping the open border invasion and stopping a government that has been weaponized against conservatives and Christians and anyone who does not subscribe to the tenets of the radical left.
Yeah.
And that means we need to get moderates on board and conservatives on board. And it even means that people are going to have to make compromises on spending levels to pass these bills. That means you're going to have to agree to spending levels you might not like, but to get the policy that you want. And then you need to get Senate Republicans, as I said, in the game, Maria. Yeah. We need 40 Republicans to stand up and say no to open borders, no to weaponized government, put the pressure on the Democrats who are in cycle, put pressure with them and their voters, make them understand that they will lose their seats if they don't get on board.
And it is so stunning that all the while we see continuing evidence of influence peddling. Biden and his family selling access and pocketing the money. I think it's just extraordinary to note this last tranche of money that we've been talking about, $250,000, $260,000 directed to Joe Biden's home in Delaware. And this isn't like 2013. No. This is a few years ago. This is 2019. So is it still going on now? I mean, and also this at the time that the $260,000 was mailed to Joe Biden's Delaware home, Hunter Biden was living in California. How are they going to explain that away?
It's smoking gun after smoking gun after smoking gun. And God bless James Comer for unearthing all this damning information. And this gets back to my core point, Maria. If you want to break the back of the corrupt deep state, then you need to find a way somehow to pass an appropriations bill for DOJ out of the House that strips away the salaries and the funding and the budgets of all of those who are involved in this corrupt scheme. You have a Department of Justice that is weaponized against President Trump and the political enemies of Joe Biden, and that is using every resource it has to shield the Biden family and its criminal, corrupt, influence peddling scheme. Use the power of the purse. And then you say to Joe Manchin, you say to John Tester, you say to Tim Kaine, you say to all of them, are you really willing to support an administration that protects the influence peddling scheme of Joe Biden, selling access for cash, selling favors for personal enrichment, selling our nation's very security so that he can line his family's pockets with cash? That is an issue that is a loser all day long for the Democrats. And you know how we know it is? Because Joe Biden lied about it all in 2020. If Joe Biden thought it was defensible, if he thought the voters would stand for it, if he thought any of it could be defended, then why did he lie about it again and again and again on the debate stage with Donald Trump? Because he knew it would be the end of his career. So keep on pushing, House, keep on fighting, see this thing through. Do not let the Washington media intimidate you out of doing what you know is right and just at this moment in history.
All right, you named those senators, you called them out. Thank you very much, Stephen.